No, now is good. Now I hear clear.
Baruch Hashem. Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah,
Good.
Baruch Hashem, Baruch
Okay,
Hashem.
Shalom Aleichem, everyone. Hayom Kotzev Amalochem Meruba. We got a lot to do tonight. Tonight is a special night. Tonight is Tiferet Shabbat Tiferet, the Beiziyot. So first, I'd like to start with a Sicha on the Parsha. Usually we do for the following Parsha. We're going back to last week. You know, I see. As a Jew, we believe that today's situation is not accidental. It's Hashgacha Pratis, and what could we do? Every Jew believes that the antidote for today's situation with the coronavirus is to increase in learning Torah and doing mitzvahs. You have any other way? You have any other remedy? I don't know of any other remedy, and that's the way every Jew thinks. But
Rabbi, I'm sorry. It's we need refuah shelema to parrots and to pomeranz.
Yeah. Well, dedicate today's trip for the refuah shelema for Peret Tzvi Ben Zlat Ziva, and also the Zeicha Nishmas for the father of Shmuel Grimwald. Shmuel, are you here? Whenever Shmuel will tell us the name, and also it should be the refuah shelema for Menachem Pomeranz.
Pomeranz is also something wrong with him.
Yes.
He's not corona.
No.
He was in the hospital.
Yes.
But he's home today.
Yes. Okay.
Oh,
so they should have it a refuah shlema. Look, every Yid understands that today it's a time to increase in mitzvahs. But which mitzvah? Like, b'ma v'zor etfei, which thing should shine the most? And what's the gate for everything else? So it seems like, everyone's pushing their agenda. I saw recently an organization that says that now it's the most important thing. They have a letter even that they got that of Kanievsky to sign, Reb Chaim, that there should be takonis for weddings, that there shouldn't be more than, 150 guests at the wedding, and the smorgasbord shouldn't have more than chicken and seltzer. Give me a break. Isn't that what the democracy is all about? Let people want to make a simcha. I think that people now will see, wow, you could save 50K. You can make a chasna in the backyard. No one got hurt. That'd be really nice. Why don't we make the next chasna the same thing? A bottle of wine is $6, and the becher, and then a little bit of schnapps. It's really good. But a thing like takonas for the chasnas, I think you can leave up to every individual. The question is, what is the main thing, and what should be the main, if we have a list of the top 12, what should be the top 12 mitzvahs that we should emphasize and impress and strengthen ourselves with, that should be the gate for the refuah shlema of the entire world? There's no doubt in my mind the answer for this question. There was a Yid, his name was Reb Moshe Zweig. He was an electrician. He used to come to 770. He used to work for the Rebbe in the house. So and he always made sure to come to Fabrengens and so on. In Nebuch, he was coming home from work, and he was attacked by a bunch of hoodlums. And Rachmana litzlan, he was rushed to the hospital. And Rachmana litzlan, he was in a bad condition. They wanted to do a surgery for him, and he said that without consulting with the Lubavitcher Rebbe, he's not doing any procedure. He asked the Rebbe for a brocha and for advice. The Rebbe told him, "Ihr seid doch an electrician. Darft ihr doch machen lichtig ba'an de Yiden. You're an electrician. Your job is to make there should be full of light by other Jews." The Rebbe told him, "Go influence other Jews, Jewish families, Jewish women, that they should light the Shabbos candle, and you'll have a refuah shlema." The person never went back to the hospital for the procedure. Baruch Hashem, he was healed, and he didn't need the procedure. One of the big campaigns, one of the Rebbe's big campaigns was Shabbos candle. And you hear Shabbos candle, and although the Rebbe said that there were many Jewish communities that the minhag was that little girls would light the Shabbos candles, not only the mothers, but unfortunately later there were communities where they simply couldn't afford to get candles, so only the mother lit. But the Rebbe wanted that we should spread this minig. It was an unusual thing. Usually, okay, every community has their own minig, but the Rebbe felt that this was a very important thing. Why is it so important? So today, I would like to focus on a very sweet biur from the Rebbe that Sicha and Lakota Sichas, Sicha Yud in Lakota Sichas Tazriya-מצורע. And if you have the sources, look straight at the Mishnah in the Goyim, Perek Yud Gimel, Mishnah Yud Aleph. This week's, in this Parsha, it says about the story of the Mitzorah, and either the din was, Kol Yemei Asher Hanega Boy, the Pasuk says in Kapitel Yud Gimel Memvav, Kol Yemei Asher Hanega Boy, Yitma, Bodad Yeshiv, Mechutz Lamachna Moishavai. He should be bodad, an isolation, an absolute isolation, and that should be Moishavai, the place that he sits. Chazal learn from here that the place that Moishavai, his house, his dwelling place, is Tomei. Anything that enters, any food, any kalim, anything that enters the house of his dwelling place is contaminated, is Tomei. As long as it's Moishavai. What happens? That's his house. It's his dwelling place. What happens if he goes to visit a friend? He's not supposed to, but he went. He went to visit a friend, and a friend's dwelling place. What's the din? So look at the Mishnah in the Goyim Perek Yud Gimel Mishnah Yud Aleph. Mitzorah shenichnas labayis. A Mitzorah walks into a house. Kol hakelim she'eshem tameim. Every keli that's there becomes tamei. Not only the food, also the kelim. Afilu ad hakoides. Anything that's up to the beams, even if the beams are 10 feet high, they could be 10 amas high. Everything is tamei. Shimon Oimer, no. Ad arba amas, until the height of arba amas, not more. Kalim miyat tameim. The kalim become tameim immediately as soon as the Mitzorah walks into the house. Rabbi Yehuda says no. Only if he was there, as long as it takes for the balabayis to light a candle. What's the connection of the candle and the Mitzorah? So the Mefarshim say that the Rosh says it's not a candle. It is not a candle. Pamim Shadam Torah about Lokas Haner, Betash Mishacher.
We can't hear you, Rabbi. We can't hear you.
How long is it that you can't hear me? Can you hear me now?
About a minute. Rabbi.
Okay, so let's read the Mishnah again quickly. Mitzorah shenichnas labayis. The Mitzorah walks into the house. Kol hakelim she'eshem tamei. All the kelim that are there, tamei afil ad hakodesh, until on the beam, until the roof, even if it's 10 amas height. If Shimon Oimer ad arba amas, until 4 amas in the height. Kelim yad kameim. The kelim become tamei as soon as the Mitzorah enters. Rabbi Yehuda says, Im shok that lokas neir. Only was there as long as it takes to light a candle. Why lighting a candle? What's the difference? I mean, the Rosh says, that the person is busy doing something. So the house only becomes tamei if it's a dwelling place of the Mitzorah. If it's not the dwelling place of the Mitzorah, then it doesn't become tamei. So if the Bala, he walks into the house, and the Balabas didn't get him a chance to say Suru Tamei, Karalamai, say Tamei. He didn't get a chance to tell him, please leave at once. If you're going to stay here, you'll spread the tum in the house. So the house is not Tamei. But if he was there long enough for the Balabas to tell him, please leave, and the Balabas didn't say it, that means the Balabas agrees that the Mitzorah can enter. He has the permission to be here, and therefore that becomes Meshava, his dwelling place, and everything in the house, up to the ceiling, the food and the kalim, become tamei. Everything becomes tamei. So maybe the Balabas is busy doing something. So if he's busy lighting a candle, so we say till he finishes lighting the candle, he didn't get a chance to tell the Mitzorah to leave, and if he didn't tell him yet, it doesn't mean the house is tamei. But if he already waited that long, the house becomes tamei. Mefarshim will say it doesn't mean if he's actually lighting a candle. It doesn't mean it's loy plug. It doesn't matter if it's by day, if it's by night, if he was lighting a candle or not. But however long it takes to light a candle, that's the shir zman that the balabas of the house has in order to tell the fellow, please, you have to leave. But if he didn't tell him to leave more than that time, everything becomes tummy. Everything in the Torah is bediuk. So why dafka is the Mishnah saying how long does it take to light a candle? The point is not the candle over here, l'choida. So the Rebbe's father has his ha'oris al pi Kabbalah on the Masechtas. So Masechtas Negoyim, and again, if you look in the sources that were sent out, you could give a look and you could find it. So it says here like this. Look at the second page. That it doesn't become tummy right away, only if he was there as long as it takes for the balabais to light a candle. What's the connection of a Mitzorah and lighting a candle? The idea of lighting a candle is to bring down the light of Chochmah. To bring down the light of Chochmah. I'm Lakutei Torah b'divrei maschare anochi noisen bepirush ner doloka roishe. So, Shabbos candle and Chanukah candle has to do with bringing down the light of Chochmah. That's why Shemen is connected to Chochmah. A fool is going with darkness, but the lightness dispels the darkness. That's the meaning of Chochmah. A Chochem is Ein of Beroishe. A Chochem could see, because through Chochmah a person could see things. A Chochmah a person could see things. That's why it says a person wants to have Chochmah, so B'shash Manesi should turn slightly towards Dorim. Shemanoida hoya bedorim, the Manoida wasn't the Dorim. Uksiv Shemen and Manoida Victoris is Machlev. Victoris is Bina and Shemen had Lokas and Manoida B'Chochmah. The person who lit the Manoida was a Koinim, their level of Chochmah. While Yedei Koyin the Chochmah, the Mitzorah, a Mitzorah Choshev Kemes, Yomusu V'Loi B'Chochmah. When there's a lack of Chochmah, there is the idea of Miser Rachmana Litzlan, which a Mitzorah is Choshev Kemes, and the Koyin, which is the ultimate inyan of Chochmah, Levim is Bina. Chochmah is Koyin, Koyinim is the inyan of Chochmah. So through the Koyin, who's the inyan of Chochmah, he brings back, he revives the maze, the Mitzorah. He brings back the Chochmah to him. He lights up his eyes. That's why the Torah is Mitzorah is through a Kohen Dafka. This morning we had a different pshat. We had a pshat from the Meshech Chochmah. Why Dafka the Kohen needs to do it? We have a pshat from the Lakota Sichas, and now you have a pshat from the Torah Yitzchak based on Chassidus. Because the Chochmah, the Kohen is in of Chochmah, and he can bring back that. The Chochmah makes the Tchias amazing. And he continues on Lakota Torah, the Master was stated to Mitzorah, Beitz Chaim Shalei Leah Berachel Perik Zaim, Bezerah Kodesh Parshas Tazria, Daf Mem Tes, for the Kohen, do it tackle Maftech, the Husadira Lanuk Ladlike Butzinaya. That the Kohen that lights the menorah, he could bring Tahara to the Mitzorah. And Shemasha Kohen Metayr, it's a Mitzorah Shaykh Zel Adlokas Aneir. This that the Kohen could be Metayr, the Mitzorah has a special connection to Adlokas Aneir. It's befedish in the Zohar. And then he goes into the thing how there's the inyan of he puts the blood on the ear and on the hand and on the foot, which is kavud, and then he puts the oil on the ear and the hand and the foot, and then he puts the rest of the oil on the shemen arosh chal yechsar. He puts the rest of the oil on the head of the shemen is in of chochma, and he has to sweeten the gvuda, which comes first through the blood, the rotzin, and the shoiv through the everything is unbelievable. Everything how works out at Kabbalah. And the bottom line is the answers that the inyan of a candle is the inyan of Chochmah, and while the candle is being lit, it dispels the darkness of the tumah of the Mitzorah. Therefore, the tumah of Mitzorah cannot spread out over the house. Okay. Got it? The word from the Torah Levi Yitzchak? Okay, good. So, the Rebbe adds to this like this. The Rebbe asks a Shaila. Why? The Mefarshim say that we're talking about a Shabbos candle. Why dafka Shabbos candle? Because it's if you're lighting a regular candle, why can't you, while you're lighting the candle, tell the person leave the house? It must be that we're talking about hadlokis neir Shabbos kodesh. Hadlokis haner de veshimshi. The Mefarshim say that's a lashon of the Rash, which is one of the Rishonim in the commentaries in the Mishnah. Hadlokas neir de veshimshi was lighting the Shabbos candles, and when you light the Shabbos candles, you have to say lahadik neir shel Shabbos kodesh. You can't talk, and that's why the balabayas or the balabasta couldn't tell the person to leave the house. Because loy pluk, Chazal said it doesn't matter if it's Shabbos, if it's Yom Tov, if it's day, if it's night, that sheet of time that it takes to light a candle, if that sheet of time we say the balabas was preoccupied. And therefore, if the Mitzorah was in there for less than that time, the Tumah did not spread. So we see it as a special connection to Shabbos candle. What's the special connection to the Shabbos candle? B'pashtus, because Shabbos candle protects the house. It's mishum sholem bayis shelo yakoshel be'etza be'evan. It protects the house from undesirable things. So therefore, api pnimiyus haTorah, by lighting a Shabbos candle, it protects the house from the undesirable tumah to spread in the house. But I mean, b'pashtus, any candle could dispel the darkness. But the truth is that only a holy candle could dispel the darkness. I mean, even the pashtus, if a person puts on the light, does it mean that it brings a Torah? It says Torah brings shalom into the world. It makes shalom bayis. The neir mitzvah of Torah brings light into the world and shalom into the world. Why? Because if you light a regular candle, maybe you see you have an enemy, and now you're the opposite of bringing shalom. But the Torah is a type of light, neir mitzvah of Torah, which is kol Torah nitna lasa shalom ba'olam. When there's a light of Shabbos candle, that makes that there should be shalom bayis, that it protects the tumah. And why is it that we see that after the Shabbos candle, that the power of the Shabbos candle is expressed in the fact that it doesn't allow the tumas mitzorah to spread? It shouldn't allow any tumah. So you could say because it's the strongest tumah, and also you could say because the Shabbos candle is the idea of shalom, and the mitzorah represents the opposite of shalom, which is lashon hara, and to separate and make machlokas. This is all on a basic level. The Rebbe says, really, to understand the power of the Shabbos candle. What is this power of the Shabbos candle? That we say that there is such an unbelievable power that that lighting the Shabbos candle, when a little Yiddish meidela, when a Jewish girl lights the Shabbos candle and says, Lahadlik Ner Shel Shabbos Kodesh, it is so powerful that even a Mitzorah, which is the worst tumah, comes into the house, and while she's lighting the Shabbos candle, the tumah cannot spread out in the house. What to understand really the power of the Shabbos candle. So we have to start everything from the Gemara. To start in Shas, the Gemara says in Shabbos, Daf Chav Gimel, the Gemara says that a person that is makbid in Shabbos candles will have children to the Chachamim. And if not children, you'll have children, son-in-laws, sons and son-in-laws. And a woman that lights Shabbos candle is brought that it lights up the eyes of her husband, that her husband will be a Talmid Chacham. And if not, it'll be for the Zohar says, if not for the children, if not for the children, she doesn't have any sons, it'll be for the sons-in-laws. Rashi says, why? Because the ksiv kiner mitzvah v'Torah ayidei ner mitzvah the Shabbos v'Chanukah ba'or the Torah. It says ner mitzvah v'Torah through the ner mitzvah, through the candle of Shabbos and Chanukah comes the Or Torah into the world. Pashas, when you say ner mitzvah, every one of the 248 mitzvahs is a mitzvah. So why are we talking dafka about ner Shabbos and ner Chanukah? But there's something unique in ner Shabbos and ner Chanukah. What's unique? Every mitzvah is really a light, but ner Shabbos and ner Chanukah is unbelievably unique in the thing that it's really the mitzvah is a light. The mitzvah is a light. That's the mitzvah. The mitzvah is a light. It's a gashmi. It's a spiritual light that shines through a physical light. Chazal say that there was a Ner Maravi in the Beis Hamikdash that this was a testimony to the world that the Shechina rests by the Jews. How do we know that? Because that light was the first one to be lit, and it was always miraculously the last one to still be lit. Why is this the only testimony that there's a Shechina by the Eden? L'choida, there was 10. The Mishnah tells us in Pirkei we started learning now Pirkei and Shabbos in the summer, that there were 10 miracles. So some of those miracles were very public. They were not somewhere in the Heichel, which was a private place that no one could see. Some of those was spectacular miracles, and they were very public. They were seen by everyone. Even a goy that could come to the Harabayas and stands in the place which was permissible for a goy to stand, could see that that when it comes to bow, there's enough space and there's no flies around. You go into a butcher shop, there's full of flies. You go into an abattoir, there's full of flies. You come here, there's no flies. A guy could see this. But we say, where is the Eidish Shechina Shayda B'Yisrael Dafka in the Menorah? Because there's something special about a mitzvah. Every mitzvah represents the godly light in the world. But there's something special about Ner Chanukah and Ner the Menorah and Ner Shabbos Kodesh, that's Begashmi is also a light. But why? To bemis to understand it, I'll pi chassidus. So the Rebbe gives an unbelievable, sweet beer. Tonight is the Yom HaLedes of the Rebbe Maharash. Tiferes Shebetiferes, a mitzvah Shemsum will verbring in honor of the Beis Dir Tiferes Shebetiferes. When the Rebbe Maharash was a boy, 5 years of age, the Rebbe Maharash had a hobby. He was very talented with his hands. As we know, he had built some spectacular things in his lifetime. And as a kid, he had a pocket knife, and he had different pocket knives, and he would carve. He would do wood carvings. 5-year-old kid, but he was terrific in his wood carvings. So one of the Elter Chassidim that came to his house came over, and he said, Shmuel, come over here. I have a terrific Swiss pocket knife, mashu, great knife. If you can tell me where I can find the Ribono Shel Olam, it's yours. You have my pocket knife. So the Rebbe Maharash, a little kid, says, you know what? He pulled out his pocket knife. You tell me where you can't find the Ribono Shel Olam, and you get my pocket knife. The Elzer HaChassid smiled. He said, you know what? Here is my pocket knife. It belongs to you. So what does it mean that the Torah was nitna lasa shalom ba'olam? What kind of shalom? What kind of disagreement do we have here? It sounds like where's the machloikis? Who's talking about a machloikis that the Torah was already given to make a shalom? The shalom is simple. The Alter Rebbe says in Tanya that the mitzias of the entire world is godliness. We'll talk about this unbelievable geschmack of 3 first parakim, Mishari Yichud V'Emunah, and we'll talk about this in Mitzvah Hashem on the Wednesday night shir, because it will be relevant to the Pirush Amilas Nameir La'oretz Machadash B'Tuvei. So the shaila is, what's the machlokes? The machlokes is simple. The world does not show that it's godly. The world does not show that it's godly. It's not revealed in the world that it's godly. Fakert. The pasuk says that the goyim say, "Oimrim la'etz ovi'ata ula even at yiladetoni." That the people in this world, they serve the idols. They serve rock and wood. Their life is serving idols. They're running after the idols, the eitz and the even. They don't see that Machadash B'Tuvei B'Chol Yom Tamid. They don't see that the Eibishter is Ashgacha Pratis is in every place of the world. Like the Rebbe Maharash said, where could you not find him? I'll give you my pocket knife. Where could you not find him? But they don't seem to find him. Torah makes there should be shalom. To light, what light doesn't create anything. But when you light, you could see something. Instead of, you think it's a window, maybe it's a pit. So in order for a person to see the truth in this world, that yesh balabayis labida zu and the Eibish's Pratis is everywhere. So that's why we have ner mitzvah v'toyrah. Where, in which mitzvah is it the most revealed that the mitzvah is here to make light, to turn the light, and that shouldn't be ksil hoylach b'chosher, shouldn't be like fools in the darkness? That's Shabbos candle and the candles in the Beis Hamikdash. Why? That's why the halacha says that the whole mitzvah of Shabbos candle is shelo yikoshel be'etzai be'even. Gewalt! Shelo yikoshel be'etzai be'even. Which eitz are we talking about? We're talking about the eitz and the evan that the Yirmiyahu Hanavi says, Oimrim le'eitz oviyata ule'even ati l'ditoni. That we shouldn't stumble over that eitz, over that evan. Why say Shaloi Koshel be'etz of Evan? Why Chazal used these two examples? Because they're going to the pasuk in Yirmiyahu that a person shouldn't stumble on the avodah zarah of the eitz and the avodah zarah of the Evan. He shouldn't stumble on that avodah zarah. That's what the koyach of the Shabbos candle. The truth is all ner mitzvah and Torah oir, that the mitzvahs light up the world and kol ha-Torah nitne la'asa shalom ba'olam. But specifically a mitzvah, which is a candle, but begashmi is the candle, expresses the ruchni is the candle. All the mitzvahs and Torah is really to turn the light, that we shouldn't be walking like fools in darkness, that we shouldn't see the world as a fractured place. We should see the Hashgacha Pratis, that everything is in absolute harmony and that there's a plan from the Rebbeinu Shalom and that for everything, and the Rebbeinu Shalom is present everywhere. But the Shabbos candle has the special koyach to bring it out, to illuminate the world. Who is a Mitzorah? The Mitzorah is the very opposite of a Shabbos candle. We learned the Rambam, we spoke about the Rambam when the Shabbos, when we were able to go to shul, but when we knew that there's the problem of this pandemic, we spoke about the Rambam at length in the end of Hilchos Saras, where the Rambam says it starts with speaking Lashon Hara against another Jew, and then it talks about Lashon Hara against the tzaddikim, and then the person ends up talking L'daber b'elakim v'koyferim b'ikar. He starts. The problem with the Mitzorah is that's why it has to be is the tumah is so big, because we see that deep down it's Rachmana litzlan. We're talking about a person that stumbled over the eitz and over the evan. Zogich. That's why the Mishnah says in the Goyim Perek Yud Gimel Mishnah Yud Aleph that when you're madlik the hadlokas ner Shabbos Kodesh, which is hadlokas haner devei shimshi, zogt Rabbi Yehuda, that when you light this Shabbos candle, the Shabbos candle doesn't allow the tumah of the tzoras, which is the idea of stumbling over the eitz and the evan, to see the world as a fractured place. The world is a jungle. That you don't see the Yad Hashem and everything. You don't see the Eibush as Mechadish B'tuva B'chol Yom Tamid. It's to stumble over eitz ve'evan. And that's the tumah of the tzaras. But the Shabbos candle doesn't allow this tumah to spread. That lokas ner devei shimshi purifies the atmosphere. It purifies the atmosphere and it doesn't allow the tumah to spread. Not only that, but it makes that the kalim should stay toher. Just like the kohen who has the koyach to be metar the Mitzorah. The zdoinus becomes a chuyas, the nega becomes oinig. Instead of bodod yeshev in a negative, the bodod becomes into a positive. Hein levodod yishkan, botach bedet ein yaakov. From the negative turns into a positive. And the same thing says Dr. Rebbe. If the Chazal say, when the darkness of the Golus gets very thick, so the Chazal say, what's the Eitzah to dispel the darkness of the Golus before Mashiach comes? If you want animara lachem neides shel tzion, you have to be madlik neides shel Shabbos Kodesh. And in the schus of the neides shel Shabbos Kodesh, I'm going to show you the neides shel tzion, the neides in the Beis Hamikdash. Zok the Rebbe that there's an interesting connection here, Because Chazal say that if you see a nega beis eretz chachuzaschem, that Chazal say beis eretz chachuzaschem za beis hamikdash. That when the Eibishter saw a nega in the beis hamikdash, he destroyed it, and that's why it says v'toma toma yikra churban bayis rishon chuis bayis shem. Zok the Rebbe, just like in the tzaras of the house, there was treasures that were hidden. And that's why the Eibishter put a tzaras. There was not only a negative, it was a positive. After it was demolished, the house, they found the treasures. The Eibishter knows that there's a treasure, the binyan beis shlishi. So therefore, he destroyed the first and second beis hamikdash, that we should be able to reveal the treasure of the beis hamikdash shlishi. And in order, before Mashiach comes, to dispel the thick darkness, in order to see the Neirut Shaltzion, we have to light the Neirut Shel Shabbos Kodesh. True, all 248 mitzvahs is Neir Mitzvah Torah. But like Rashi says in the Gemara Shabbos, that if you want to have children Tamid Chachamim, it's dafka with candles. Be careful with the candles. Nice candles, big candles. Light the candles on time and influence another yid to light candles. So Rashi can Neir Mitzvah Torah al Yedei Neir Mitzvah the Shabbos a Chanukah ba'or the Torah. This all 613 mitzvahs is to bring light, but this mitzvah has a special segula to make shalom ba'olam, to light up our eyes to see the Eibishter in every place in the world. Therefore, says the Rebbe, that it's incumbent upon us to try to impress on every Jew in this generation to light the Shabbos candles, and also girls as young as 3 years of age start lighting Shabbos candles. The Rebbe said 2 points about why. First of all, the Rebbe said that it used to be a minhag for many communities that the girls lit Shabbos candles and simply couldn't afford it afterwards, and we could afford it. But then the Rebbe says 2 very important points. If we will get every single child to light Shabbos candles, that will make a quiet revolution in this world. Kfar Chabad magazine had this a long time ago, a story of Lubavitcher Chassid. And I wrote it down here. Rebenzi Grossman, and he was after the Rebbe started the campaign of the Shabbos candle. He was at Yechidus, and the Rebbe asked him if his daughters are lighting Shabbos candle. He said for sure. And the youngest one that was 3, the Rebbe said, "Is she lighting?" He said for sure. And when did she start lighting? He said as soon as the Rebbe said. The Rebbe pulled out $1. He opened his drawer, and he pulled out $1 bill, and he gave the dollar to the chassid. They should give it to his daughter and ask his daughter, you hear this? 3-year-old girl, that she should influence another girl also to light Shabbos candle. You hear this? A 3-year-old girl. But that's what he did. He came home and he gave his daughter the $1, and the daughter said, sure, she's friends with another kid. It was not a religious kid that they always go in the play, that she meets her in the playground, Tammy. So she'll talk to Tammy and ask Tammy to light the Shabbos candles. And indeed, Tammy went to her mother, and her mother let her light Shabbos candles. They were neighbors. A few weeks later, Tammy's mother calls the Lubavitcher family. She wants to know where you get a Shabbos clock. Where do you to get? I'm sorry, what's a timer? A Shabbos timer to get the lights to go on and off. And then she wanted to know where you can buy a hot plate. So so obviously the Lubavitcher family helped her to get the stuff she was looking at, help her set it up. And she said what happened was her daughter lighted a Shabbos candle, but she felt ashamed. Her daughter lights, so she doesn't light, so she started lighting Shabbos candles. And then she thought to herself, it doesn't make sense. We light the Shabbos candles, then we turn the lights and off and on Shabbos, a desecration of the Shabbos. So from the little girl lighting a Shabbos candle, the whole family started to light Shabbos candles. So the Rebbe says 2 points why we should every single Jewish girl should light Shabbos candles. If we want that every single Jewish, true, there are families that the mother lights the Shabbos candle. Unfortunately, today there are families that the mother is not yet lighting. But if we'll influence the children is easier to influence. But if if the friends that are religious are going to light the Shabbos candles, it'll be easier for them to influence their friends that are not yet religious. And then was another point that the Rebbe made, was like a bombshell. The Rebbe said, the Gemara says, that if you don't have sons, as a woman that doesn't have sons, so she's very careful with Shabbos candles. She'll be zoichet to have son-in-laws. She'll pick good son-in-laws. Says the Rebbe, that's very nice in the days in the shtetl when the mother picked the son-in-law. But today, the mother doesn't pick the son-in-law. The daughter goes out on a date, and the daughter picks her husband. So it was nice when the mother had was picking her son-in-law, and now she had a big schus of being careful in the Shabbos candles. So that schus said she the shmaya to pick a good son-in-law. But now that the daughter is picking her husband, she has to have a schus. So when she's a small girl, she has to light the Shabbos candles. So she will have the siyaita shmaya to pick herself a good chassan. The hast was gesagt. Rabbi say, if you want your daughters to get a good chassan, I'm sure no one here is going to tell me that they're not interested in a good chassan. Even if your daughter is now 3 years old, you want to have a good chassan. You want to know that your daughter will marry a good person that will treat her well, like the Rambam says in the Bayis Shemit HaChachamim, that there's no meriva and ketot. If he's really a Talmid Chacham, and the Torah knows what's a Talmid Chacham, there's no meriva and ketot, and he treats his wife well, and he knows the value of Torah. So you should have your daughter light Shabbos candle from when she's 3 years old. And if we want to dispel the thick darkness of the tzaras that's all over the world, we don't want this tumah to spread all over the world. Not only we don't want it to spread, but we want the opposite. From the negative should be oinik, and from the bodad in the negative should be a bodad in the positive. The way to do that is adlokas neidideve shimshi. The secret is we could all speculate about which mitzvah to do, but we know that our Rebbe, we know a tzaddik, that the Moshe Rabbeinu is the spashtusa, the Moshe b'chol dora v'dora, the Eibishter made the tzaddikim in every generation to light up our eyes to see what we need to emphasize in that generation. And based on this mission in the Goyim, based on this Gemara, the Rebbe is telling us that when there's a thick tumas tzaras in the world, that's spreading all over the world, and we need to we shouldn't stumble on the eights and the Evan. Which eights in the Evan? The eights in the Evan of Avodah Zarah. That is through Hatlokas Haner Deveshimshi, by influencing every Jewish girl and every Jewish mother to light Shabbos candle and to light it in the right time. So we have our work cut out for us this week, that every one of us should reach out. Every one of us should reach out to as many families as we can, and to try to influence them that they should start lighting Shabbos candle. If the mommy is not lighting yet, definitely to try to influence the mommy. And if we can't influence the mother, at least the daughter, and even the families that Baruch Hashem, Hashem Torah mitzvahs, behidur, but the children are not yet lighting Shabbos candle, and those children definitely have the koyach, the power, to illuminate and to dispel the darkness of the tumas tzaras. And not only that, those girls could definitely use the schus to have chasonim, tamid chachamim. So we should influence every single Jew that they should light the Shabbos candles, and also the little girls should light the Shabbos candles. And we should be zoicha that, like Chazal say, that in the schus of the Neder Shabbos, the Eibusher should finally show us the Neder Shaltzion, the Bias Mashiach Tzidkenu.
Amen.
Amen.
I had a question, Rabbi.
Yeah.
You talked about the Mitzorah going into a house, and the owner of the house has the time it takes to light a candle. That it should be able to go out, and the house should be impure. But where do we find that a Mitzorah would go into a house? He has to be a chutz machaneh. And also, when he gets close to somebody, he has to say tameh tameh.
I mean, he didn't. He's supposed to do it. The Mitzorah was supposed to do a lot of things to not let himself become a tzaddik to begin with, and unfortunately, he got into the situation. So he's not following directions too.
Okay.
And Rabbi.
Yeah.
if the Mitzorah come to the house, you have to hear the candle. But the Balabait in shul, he cannot see the candle.
Maybe it's in the time of the coronavirus. The Balabais is also home. Okay, let's start the Fabrengen. L'chaim, 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 Yidden.
Chaim.
Okay.
I have a brother.
Let's sing the niggin of the Rebbe Marash with the theme of L'chatchila Ribe. Ya ya la da da ya da 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 ya 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 L'chaim, l'chaim.
I'm a brother.
Rabbi.
L'chaim.
Rabbi.
Yeah.
Chaim.
L'chaim,
I
l'chaim,
have an
l'brach.
interesting fact.
Yes.
Chaim.
I have an interesting fact.
So share it with us.
With this pandemic, the tumor that's enveloping the whole world, scientists have discovered that covering this virus is a layer of fat. And the way you dispel of it and kill the virus is with hot water and soap. So you're finding that you're talking about the candle, which is the fire, the lighting of the candle. Over here you have the idea of the fire and the water itself that wipes away and destroys that fat and destroys the virus. So it's apropos where you have the idea of the Mitzorah. It's an interesting idea.
Very nice. Shkoyach. Good thought. Okay. So a person will say, you could make a revolution when you could go out and scream in the streets, but you're stuck in the house. How could you make a revolution? Well, let's talk about the Rebbe Marash and how you make a quiet revolution. There was many orchim that came for Pesach to Lubavitch, and since the Marash was born, Tzemach Tzedek was his youngest son, so many of the orchim stayed. They wanted to be there for the bris. The day of the bris came, it was packed, and had the Suda was ready. And the meantime, they're waiting for the Rebbe, the Tzemach Tzedek, to emerge from his room. An hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. The meantime, the Tzemach Tzedek sent a message. They should wash, they should start the Suda. But he didn't come out for the bris. finally, late in the afternoon, finally he came out of his room and he said, okay, now we're going to do the bris. When they did the bris, people were astonished. What would be the name? His father-in-law, the Rebbe, the Mittler Rebbe just passed away. They assumed that would be the name of the Mittler Rebbe. And when it came for the name, he said the name is Shmuel. So at the bris, the oldest son of the Tzemach Tzedek asked, Tzemach Tzedek had 7 sons, asked, we don't know in our family someone with the name Shmuel. So he said that, yeah, it's not in our family, but there's a water carrier in the city of Polotsk, and your brother is named after that water carrier. And afterwards, he sort of gave a krechts, and he said, Chaver Kaddish and Polotsk are a bunch of lazy, a bunch of batlonim, a bunch of lazies. The Chassidim that lived in Polotsk, when they heard this, they came back to Polotsk and they inquired what happened on that day. They found out that there was a wealthy person in Polotsk that passed away, and the Chaver Kaddish got very busy with organizing a nice levaya. In the meantime, that day there was also a water carrier whose name was Shmuel, who passed away. Because they were so busy organizing the fancy levaya, it ended up that his levaya was very late in the afternoon. And then the Chassidim understood, because that's brought from the Svarim HaKadoshim, that you cannot give the name of a baby of a deceased if the deceased was not buried yet. You have to wait for the deceased to be buried, and then you could use the name. The Rebbe Maharash, his name was going to be for this water carrier in Polotsk. His father, the Tzemach Tzedek, did not come out for the bris until he felt that this tzaddik, the water carrier in Polotsk, was buried.
Wow.
What you see from this story is that you don't know who you're looking at. There might be the water carrier right next to you, or maybe the electrician or the plumber. And this is really the water carrier in Polotsk. The second story about the Rebbe Maharash. This is fascinating because in the Igros of the Rebbe, in Chelik Beis, there's a letter to Rav Slonim in Eretz Yisrael asking him to provide him more details about this story. In other words, the Rebbe was familiar with the story and he wanted more details about the story. The Rebbe Maharash, as we know, he would dress up as if he was a businessman. And he did have investments and he did do business as a young man, also as a Rebbe. And he was quite wealthy as well. But once when he was traveling, he decided that he really wanted to stop in Belz, and he wanted to see the Sar Shalom of Belz. That day he was lucky, it was a Yom de Pagra, and there was a Tish. So he came in, was a young businessman, dressed up, in a gray suit and so on. I'm not sure, there's no pictures how he was dressed up. I'm just describing how a businessman would look, I don't know, with a tie, with a bow tie. He was dressed up very sharp and stylish. Didn't look like your typical chassid. And he was standing in the side and he was watching. The Sar Shalom at that time couldn't see well. So his gabbai was holding him by the hand and directing him to the tish. As soon as the Sar Shalom entered the room, he said, there's an unbelievable good smell over here. And he started walking the other direction. He was walking and walking until he came to the Rebbe Maharash. He said, young man, you can't hide from me. And he took him by the hand and he brought him to the tish and he sat him down right next to him. And the first thing, when he started to give out shiraim, the first piece of shiraim he gave to the Rebbe Maharash. So the Rebbe Maharash refused to take it. He said, my father doesn't give out shiraim. So Sar Shalom bent over and he told him in his ear the soy to the inyan of shiraim. The Rebbe, as I said, wanted to know from Rav Slonim if he knew more details about the story. So, story number 2 and simple lesson. When the kedusha is so intense, like the candle, the adlokas ner devei shimshi, it doesn't matter that it's a little girl and it's a little apartment and a little candle. A little candle will go a very long way. Just like the Rebbe Maharash, his Kedusha was so intense, but someone that could sense it, it went to carried throughout the room. And the Sar Shalom entered the room, he was able to smell that this young man ain't stam a businessman dressed up very sharply. But he was able to see through the chitzonius, through the fancy clothing and the modern and stylish clothing, and he was able to smell the Kedusha. Also, when you're at home today and you make l'chaim and there's a chassidische farbrengen and it's chodesh Iyar, like we spoke about this last week, Iyar with 2 yuds and Iyar with 1 yud, there's no contradiction. When the two Yiddelach get together for farbrengen, and they're farbrengen together as a Makov al Yoin, Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Rachel, so then they produce the Iyar with 1 yud that there should be Ani Hashem Reifecha. A little candle will go a very, very, very long way. So make sure this week, if you can contact someone you know and can influence them and get them to influence someone else, and hopefully this will be contagious, that it will spread and the fire will catch fire, and amidst Hashem, these little candles will go a very long way to get rid of the Tumas Tzaras. Third story.
Amen.
And again, a story about the Rebbe Marash, and again at the same theme, about you don't know when you're looking at the Chitzonius, but Hashem, Yir Lalevav, Hashem sees in the Pnimius. When the Rebbe, the Tzemach Tzedek, passed away, many Chassidim were confused, and they didn't know who should be the next Rebbe. Kulam Ahuvim, Kulam Berurim, Kulam Kedoshim, 7 sons were all Talmidei Chachamim, Geonim, and Tzadikim. One of the very Chosheva characters and one of the big Chassidim was Reb Shmuel Ber Bar Yisaveh. He told the Chassidim, listen, I have a story to tell you. Once the Tzemach Tzedek said a Maimer, and he was in the Maimer, he quoted something from the Pri Eitz Chaim. And we all heard the Maimer, but afterwards I didn't understand the connection, I didn't understand the Pri Eitz Chaim. So I went to the oldest son of the Tzemach Tzedek. I asked him the question, went to his house. He tried to explain it to me, but it didn't click. I went to the next son, and to the next son. I went to all 6 sons. It wasn't Miskabel al Adas. It was a Motzei Shabbos. I went from house to house, and I simply could not understand the Maimer. The Maimer did not click in my mind. It did not make sense. I didn't think I should go to the youngest son, because the youngest son was a businessman and they didn't seem to be the person to go to get the pshat of the Maimer. But since I had passed his house anyway, and it was the one fancy house in Lubavitch, so I decided to try to climb up on a box and look through the window, because I see that the light was on. What is he doing now, late at night? And I see he's sitting at the table with Sforim, and the top sefer in the pile is the Pri Eitz Chaim that I have troubled with. He knocks on the door. Who is it? Reb Shmuel. Just a minute. The Rebbe Marash opens the door. He said, Reb Shmuel, come to rein, come. He brings him into this fancy dining room. The fireplace is crackling. Reb Shmuel sees that something strange. The table is full of Russian newspapers. Mm-hmm. And the Rebbe Marash says, how can I help you? He said, I have a problem with the Maimer. I don't begin to understand the Maimer. The Rebbe Marash smiles. He says, Maimer, to me, I can tell you what's going on in the world. If you want to know a little bit of news, what's going on in Moscow and Petersburg. Reb Shmuel said, listen. He said, look, let me tell you something. I looked in the window before I knocked on your door, and I saw you learning the Pri Eitz Chaim. If you tell me the pshat and the Maimer, we keep this conversation between me and you. Otherwise, tomorrow the entire Lubavitch will know the story. So the Rebbe Marash sat down, and he explained the Maimer to me, and it was dripping with honey. Finally, I understood it, and I understood it well. So if you ask me, he's the man that should be the next Rebbe. So the common denominator in all 3 stories about the the Rebbe Marash, the water carrier in Polotsk, the trying to hide from the Sar Shalom and Bells, and trying to hide from Shmuel Ber Barisovet is all three the same. It doesn't matter that it's quiet and we're at home, but we can make a quiet revolution. And Hashem Yida Lalevov, the little candle, will go a very long way. Our job this week is to make sure that we influence many Yidden, that there should be adlokas neide de veshimshi, when the world is thick with the tumas Mitzorah and it's spreading all over the world, in order to not allow this tumah to spread and to contain it and to turn the nega into oinig and turn the bodad negative into bodad positive, that we have to influence the Mitzvah Hashem, that lokas neide de veshimshi, influence every Yid, and the Mitzvah Hashem, the schus of the Mishamrim neide shel Shabbos, ani maralachem neide shel Mikdosh, neide shel Tzion, bebias Mashiach tzidkenu. L'chaim, l'chaim, l'chaim.
Amen. L'chaim, l'chaim.
Amen. Amen.
Let's Messiah the Fabang with the Lebedik Inigan.
Amen.
Becha Hashem echa si Aleva Shale Yelam 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 Hashem echa si Aleva Shale Yelam Hashem echa si Aleva Shale Yelam Hashem echa si Shali Yailam Becha Hashem Chasiyasi Aleva Shali Yailam L'chaim, 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 l'bracha.
Rabbi, when do we hear you next?
Mitzvah Hashem, Tuesday night we're continuing the Gemara in Brachas, and Wednesday night we're continuing this fabulous new shir, which we're doing Birchas Krishma, the Halachas, and Pirush Hamilas, and also the Chassidus on the Pirush Hamilas. We're starting Birchas Krishma. We started last week. So Mitzvah Hashem, Tuesday night 8:30 and Wednesday night 8:30. Tomorrow night there'll be Halachas shir, also Rabbi Lerner, and Thursday night will be a Tanya shir, Rabbi Silverberg.
Thank you.
L'chaim, l'chaim.
Okay.
Chaim.
I give a simcha teitzeyo v'shalom tovalon ha'arim v'yagvat yiftach lefnechem erino v'chalat yatzodayim chauchov ki v'simcha teitzeyo v'shalom tovalon ha'arim v'yagvat yiftach lefnechem erino v'chalat Yasod the Yim Chaucha, Kivisimcha Teitzeyo, Vishalai Tovalon, Orim Ve'agvos, Yiftachol Nechemerino, L'chaim, as a Chassid would say it, Kivisimcha Teitzeyo. Any situation is sticky and no good, you want to get out of it, Kivisimcha, L'chaim.
I have a question.
Thank you, Rabbi. Don't forget Mariv and Sira.
Yes, thank you.
Mariv and Sira. Thank you, Sasson. Shlomo.
We can't dab
Rabbi, you still there?
Mr. Mahani, thank you for joining us. David, yes, I'm here. David, thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Peretz, you should have it a full shlema. Peretz, Zwiebeln, Zlata, Zivazam, a full shlema. Pinchas Eliyo, you should care for joining us. Levi, you should care for joining us. And everyone that joined us, a großen Yashikoyach.
I had a question, Rabbi, if you don't mind.
Yes, sure.
I have a question. Collagen. This is the crushed bones of a kosher animal, and it's turned into powder, complete powder. Does that hold the status of meat? to it, or it just becomes part?
I have no idea what this product is. If you text it to me, I will research it, and then I'll give you my answer.
Okay.
Okay? Maybe even if it's interesting enough, we'll bring it up Koil Yom Rishon next week on Sunday. And big yashikoyach to Rabbi Yoel. Any of the Shurim that you missed, you can make up. If you missed this morning, we had 3 fascinating shilas that people asked recently. All the shiurim are being sent out by Rabbi Yoel. A größten yashikoyach. A gute Nacht.
Laila
Hi, God bless you.
Oh.
I think
I've
been happy for you.
Okay.
Shikoyach bencha, gute Nacht.
Okay.
Good night, everybody.
Okay.
Good night.
Good night, Rabbi Shlomo Mahana.
No, buy you come, Benji.